He is currently serving as the Director General of the Dar es Salaam Institute of Technology in Tanzania. But before becoming the director, he also served as a lecturer in the Department of Electronics and Telecommunication Engineering at the Institute. And before that, he worked for Kyor Limited, which is a firm that manufactures glass. So he has been in industry and in academia. Who best to give us the first pitch and presentation on emerging trends and future of technology transfer and commercialization, and especially coming from the commercial capital of Tanzania that moved from Dar es Salaam to Bongoland. Welcome, Dr. Musumba. Tell us how you became the people who are thinking rather than the people who are expecting the government to do work for you. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Musumba. You have 30 minutes. I'm told it's. Please cue his presentation. Okay, thank you. All right.
Asante sana. Jambo, good morning. Yes, as I was introduced by Professor, my name is John Musumba. I'm on business perspective, but also on academic perspective. So I'm trying to bridge the two, academia and business. The title is Emerging Trends and the Future of Commercialization. But what I'm going to do is to share experience of what we do and think that will stimulate the discussions towards commercialization of innovation. The best practice that we do at Dar es Salaam Institute of Technology. Let me start with the, sorry. Yes, Dar es Salaam Institute of Technology has a long history. It started back here 1957, and it has been changing the names. I think this is not working properly. Sorry. Okay. It has some challenge. We take it back. Yeah, but it's not changing. Yes, this is technology issues. We have, Dar es Salaam Institute of Technology, we have a vision. We want to become a leading technical institution in addressing societal needs. And we do that by providing training and research, of course, consultants and development of appropriate technologies. This vision is actually shared by all members of Dar es Salaam Institute of Technology. And as I mentioned, we have a very long history. We started way back here, 1957. By that time, we were called DTI, Dar es Salaam Technical Institute. But immediately after independence, we changed the name to Dar es Salaam Technical College because by that time, we needed skilled people to work in the industry. But the major transformation happened in 1997, where we were established as a Dar es Salaam Institute of Technology by the Act of Parliament. Of course, we started doing research and consultants apart from just training. So we have 3 campuses. The main campus is in Dar es Salaam, which is specialized in ICT. But we have another campus in Mwanza, along the Lake Victoria. The campus is specialized in leather product and processing, although there are some other programs running there. but we have another campus in a region called Songwe. If we could see the presentation, we have a map, we could show the location. The Songwe is earmarked to be specializing in mining engineering. And recently, the government has given us another campus in Dodoma, the capital of Tanzania. And the campus is going to specialize in space technology. So we are strategically located within Tanzania. Does it work? Okay, so those are the campuses, and that's the map of Tanzania. So you can see we are very strategically located. We have, as Dar es Salaam Institute of Technology, 3 main portfolio: teaching and training, research and innovation, of course, consultants and community services. When we develop our curriculums, we look at, normally we refer to the national flagship projects, the requirements of those skills that are required in those projects. So our curriculum is kind of involves stakeholders in the development process. So it's a very, very intensive where we consult the stakeholders. They give the input from the curriculum, for what they need. But again, we have regulators who are trying to guide us on the curriculum accreditation issues. The most difficult part for academic institution and training institution is our curriculum should reflect what industries need. That has been really a challenge. And there is this gap between what we offer in institutions and what industries need. So the institution will be recognized as the best institution if the gap between whatever they offer is very, very narrow to whatever the industry needs. So how do we bridge the gap as the Dar es Salaam Institute of Technology? We have an approach we call teaching factory approach. This teaching factory approach, technical training is interactively linked with the real-life industry business. So the implementation of a teaching factory can be, you might have a factory which is a virtual, actually this through collaboration with, and linkage with the industry, but you can also establish a physical factory. When we started implementing this, we said, let's look at the low-hanging fruits. Why don't we start with solving our own problems? That is the first phase that we started on the implementation of the teaching factory concept. Of course, we operate under the triple helix model where the government is involved, but industry and the training institution. This concept is really demanding in terms of a lot of creativity that are needed, but also resources. It's a resource intensive. So we need partnership with the government, but also industry. Yes, so when we started, we said, okay, we have a number of problems, but engineering institution, we always budget for teaching material. And running engineering institution is very expensive because of the teaching material that are required. But how best do we use the teaching material to solve our problems at the same time to do the learning process? So we have to know, first of all, what are the problems that we have? You can look at that picture. Under normal circumstances, the institution will request the government to fund this infrastructure. But you are teaching technicians and engineers within your institutions. Why can't they solve this problem? And you are buying teaching material. So we started this by having a project like this. We have a DIT teaching factory, and the project is improvement of access road at DIT. Who are the supervisors? We have qualified lecturers. Of course, the government has invested a lot in educating staff. So this can be supervisors too. And we have workforce, we have students. Where do we get funding? We have teaching material. So this is one way we can... Yes. Okay, thank you. Yes, so this is one way we can implement this teaching factory. And when we started, you can see the participation of students and staff. And on the right-hand side, you see the finished product. So you have a finished product as a result of using teaching material. But again, students have learned of course, the issue of experience. And when we started, we were hiring the concrete mixer. I'm just giving you this example for civil engineer because it's easier to explain. We were hiring the concrete mixer, but we also tasked the mechanical engineering department to come up with a concrete mixer as a product through teaching material. So in that way, we have now concrete mixer, which is a result of teaching material, but students designed and supervised by staff, and we have the product. We did the same. We did the same for vertical extension of our library. We had an unfinished library, and we used the same concept of teaching material. The good thing about this kind of project, it is multidisciplinary because you have mechanical engineering participating, you have civil engineering, ICT, to mention a few, even electrical engineers. So at the end of the day, we have this as a finished product. We used teaching material, we used staff as supervisors, students as workforce, and we have a finished product. So this has been a practice even to our Mwanza campus, where we have a leather product, and we have a number of products as a result of teaching. And initially we thought, okay, we as the lecturers, we are dictating what students have to do, but we need to promote student thinking by letting them come up with the problems and propose solutions, and they form some dummy companies so that they can solve these problems. They can form dummy companies and solve this problem. In that way, we also give them, we give them skills, the real life skills when they they manage the project. So we have one of the ceremony, you can see we were awarding those companies that they bid the project and they got some tenders. So they are becoming CEOs while they're still at the institution. This is one of the company, which is a Dame company. They were actually spearheading a basketball ground design. So it's one of the students' company. The one you see is in front is the CEO of the company, but he was actually the third-year student by that time. So they do whatever is being done in real life project by using teaching material. We also complement by industrial visits. We take students and staff in industries just to make sure that the training is interactively linked with the real life industry business. With thanks to eStrip, this is one of the minibus we bought from the eStrip project, and it helps staff also to go to industry on a regular basis. But students have a big bus that we have also put it at the mark of the teaching factory. So every time our bus is around the Dar es Salaam and other places, people think inside the bus there is a factory, but it's actually shipping students to industry to make sure that they have that experience. We also promote professional lectures. We invite professionals to come and give professional lectures in different areas, and these actually add value to not only students, but also staff members, because they need those professional skills. As a result of this approach, we have a number of products in different disciplines. These are really life-needed products, which students are developing, and we get different machines and different disciplines. Like you can see here, we have biomedical engineering innovations. All these are coming from teaching factory concept, that you use teaching material, come up with a product that we can now think of, improve it for further. You see, all these are machines that were designed by our students and under the supervision of staff. We designed a local-made radiant warmers. We have a local-made 3D printer. It's one of the products that our students came up with. Now, who is responsible to commercialize these products? That's the question that we need to answer. And that's where, as the Dar es Salaam Institute of Technology, we established a company specifically for commercialization of these innovations. The company is called Dar es Salaam Institute of Technology Company Limited, and I happen to be the Director General of the company, so I'm trying to be business. This is really business company, and it started in 2010, but our first annual general meeting, we did it in 2023, and it has a vision. We want to be a leading coordinator for promoting of Dar es Salaam Institute of Technology innovation products, and both international and the local. So the organogram of the company, it goes direct to the departments. Of course, we have shareholders, we have a board, separate board of directors, and we have a DG, which is Director General, but some other units, as you can see, it goes directly to departments. Currently, we have registered 5 contracting license with the contractor, with the authority, which means we have 5 disciplines. We have building works, we have civil works, we have electrical, mechanical, all these disciplines cut across to make sure that each member of the institution is also participating in this kind of project. This was the first annual general meeting, and it was chaired by the chairperson of the council and the treasury registrar of the country. You see, treasury registrar is a shareholder of the company. So with the annual general meeting, apart from other things, there is endorsement of the board of directors. So that is the second board of directors. Of course, it was inaugurated by the Minister of Education, Science and Technology, Honorable Professor Mkenda. So it's a separate board of directors to make sure that they manage the company. This is the board of directors. We have our office, main office in Dar es Salaam. Some of you might have visited Dar es Salaam. We have that office. But we also have offices in other campuses, like in the Mwanza campus, we have office, but also Dodoma, as well as Songwe. This is one of the a retail shop in Dar es Salaam that we sell innovation products that comes from students. This has been really a practice, because we know if a student or staff come up with a product, definitely it can likely to be commercialized, because we have an entity which will spearhead that. But the company also is able to have partnership with the other company. It can act as an agent of one company. It can have partnership with the other company, local and international. These are the licenses that we use, we operate right now to cut across all the disciplines. So we have more than 10 licenses. We register licenses based on the needs that arise by that particular time, because we will have a CRB registration, but you need a license to operate that. So we have a number of licenses. Some of ongoing projects, I'm happy to mention some of the projects. We worked also with the World Bank. We digitized the quality assurance framework with the World Bank, but we also work with the UNICEF. So you can see it's an international company, although we have also a number of local projects that we work with. We have a very good reserve of natural gas, so we also spearhead the issues of application of natural gas in vehicles, compressed natural gas. It is done under the company, because it's a business. We also have a number of international collaboration projects, and with these projects we have different projects, including the e-mobility projects, where we design from the scratch and manufacture electric 3-wheeler. And this also was one of the very good projects, because already we have a very good prototype, and we take it to different exhibitions to make sure that people can give us some feedbacks on the project. But we also do assembling. We assemble the 3-wheeler. Assembling is not a simple task, even someone can see, because you need to be very good in reading the drawings, and So sometimes during assembly we identify some parts that we can manufacture locally, so that we reduce the cost for the importation. So we do the assembling. Of course, we promote female students to participate in such kind of projects. These are the assembled electric 3-wheelers, and they were actually assembled by students under the supervision of staff. Of course, we have some partners that we work with. The idea is to make sure that we build capacity, but we also transfer technologies. And out of these 3-wheelers, we also come up with a number of projects, because we are talking about artificial intelligence. How can our product now, take this as an opportunity to include in the design and also the implementation of the project. We are also working with the European institutions like EURIST on the e-bike projects. We assemble e-bike projects, and there are some beneficiaries like the Aga Khan Hospital. They use these bikes for delivering of medical services. But as DIT, we have a role of maintaining them in terms of service and assembling them. So we are building capacity in those areas. I showed some of the machines which are the result of a teaching factory. To commercialize the machines, you can sell individual machine as a single machine, but you can also assemble to establish a factory. So we managed to establish a factory. We call it a teaching factory, but for the purpose of, manufacturing plastic spare parts. And this is one of the very good example of the factory. Of course, the company runs the factory, but students and staff all the time participate on a regular basis. So these are some of the products that we manufacture in that factory, and we have strong support. This is the Minister of Education used to come and visit our factory to see the production, but also to guide. At one point, the parliamentary committee visited also just to see what we are doing. So having a small factory within the institution is that what we were dreaming. And we are going to establish a number of factories, small factories, just to make sure that we have some prototyping of products. If we need mass production, that's where we can enter into partnership with other manufacturers. These are some of the projects that we manufacture. If we come to Dar es Salaam, majority of these traffic lights are actually manufactured and commissioned by the DIT Company Limited. Of course, we went all the way to Zanzibar. We also installed such kind of traffic lights. All these are managed by the DIT Company. Yeah, so these are some of the products. And we also worked with the Clinton Health Access Initiative. They were disposing the refrigerators which were used during the COVID, and they were trying to look for the company that can dispose these, but not pollute the environment. So we applied for the tender, and we were able to get it. And what we did for the plastics, we just converted them into spare parts. So that was a very good approach also, because we made sure that the plastic that we dispose actually turned into any other useful products. So we also do some maintenance with different hospitals and different organizations, but we also do consultants within the company. Some of the consultants work. These are the buildings that we designed and supervised. Some of the buildings. It's really a big business. These are some of the buildings that we designed on progress. But we also support startups. Our students come up with these innovations, and then they establish companies to spearhead their innovations. So we support them. Like what you see is one of the innovation on bubble CPAP machine, which one of the students, female student actually, she's the CEO of the company. So she registered the company, and we helped her even to patent it. On the right is the patent for the innovations, but now it's a company, and she's the CEO of the company. As DIT Company Limited, we are supporting them in different aspects, including taking them to different exhibitions to showcase their innovations. That's one of the company also. They call it Swahili Maker Limited. They made a local 3D printer and they established a company and registered the company. We have another company which manufacture training equipment for engineering and science. It's called the Honic Company. It's also a student company. We have a number of visitors coming to see these kind of innovations and kind of approach. Recently, we sponsored these students to go and participate in the inaugural of Tanzania Education Policy Review, the launching, and the president was very much impressed with the product that the students are coming up with, because these products helps in supporting the implementation of the the policy, the new policy that we have achieved. So another company, this company was started as a dummy company, but now they got registration as a full company, construction company. So instead of creating job seekers, we are actually creating employment creators. That has been our motive, to make sure that the students that we graduate, they go there and create employment rather than just be seeking for employment. These are some of the companies that we support them to get a registration, and they are registered. We cannot do this without partners, so we have a number of partners, and we categorize them in different categories. Like we have industrial collaborators, we have university collaborators, and we have non-profit organization, but also innovation community. As you can see, we have more than 50 MOUs within this, that we are partnering with. And we have established 2 industrial advisory committees. This is under the support of History Project. We really thanks for ICEA because they have been instrumental to this achievement. So we have 2 industrial advisory committee which is operating. One of it is on the ICT side, and the other one is on the leather product. These are some of the collaborators that the benefit of collaboration, where we have our staff being attached to different factories, industries for capacity building. But we also have Rice University in our project, where they establish a makerspace, design studio, and also the biomedical engineering lab. These are the facilities that we need them as we try to improve our innovations going to the product. We have another partner, Turkish Cooperation and Coordination Agency. They actually furnished us with a full state-of-the-art lab with all the sophisticated equipment, which help us in translating those prototypes for innovation into products, just for commercialization. So these makerspaces are used in different ways, training also, but also we encourage young students to come and visit and to see the way they can build their career in science and engineering. We have also partners with the Ademnia project. There are a number of partners that you can see, but again, they establish a state-of-the-art 4th Industrial Revolution lab, where we have a number of projects going on inside. Once the prototypes are of the commercial basis, then they take it to the company for commercialization. We have other partners like biomedical engineering, technology aids. So a number of partners with us. We have Action Media from German. They support sometimes innovation competitions. We need to have competitions to make sure that we shop the innovations that can help our students. We are also having partnership with Siemens. We have established industrial automation lab. This lab is managed by students themselves. And what is happening now, students go to industry to teach people in the industry on how to use these sophisticated PLC stuff. It's the other way around, because initially we used to say, okay, students go to industry to learn, but now our students are going to teach some of the stuff in the industry. And this is really a very good transformation. And now the industry also becomes very confident with our product because of what we do. So these are some of the innovations that are from the EMS. We have Huawei also on ICT, and the students have created a group, they call it a School Connectivity Project. They are doing a lot of work on this project under the support of the company, because government money is something that you cannot easily take it, but through the company, because we have the vision, we can do it very well. We have Festo, they are in our partnership. I'm just trying to cite the importance of partnership, and we are beneficiary of that. So we also establish energy efficiency lab, where we do a lot of consultants on energy efficiency for different institutions. But we rub shoulders with the MIT. We have this dream that we want to be MIT of Africa, of course, but we start small. We are thinking big, but we start small. So we also have a collaboration with EPF for sustainable smart cities and alliance technologies. Internally, we have partners also. TCRA, we are also having partnership with the Vocational Education Training Authority. These are very important partnerships for us because they are almost in everywhere within the country. So whenever we have project anywhere, we can just use we can partner with them to make sure that we deliver the project. We are also working with the Tanzania People's Defense Force. They come on regular basis to, we have a lot of interaction in terms of technology part. We conduct a number of staff development projects because teaching factory concept and also running the company in terms of having expertise in the company, you need competent people. So we've been getting a lot of support, and we appreciate the support of ISTRIP again. We do faculty industrial attachment program to make sure that we equip our staff with industrial skills, but we also do a faculty exchange program. Recently we had like 8 of our staff member exchange, international exchange with the other reputable universities. But when we have the project as a company, we also attach staff members, those junior staff members who wants to get experience on working with real life projects. Again, pedagogical issues, we have partners that we work with to make sure that we transform the way we teach in our classroom, because the trend has been different, so we need also to change the way we conduct our teaching. We have to make sure that teaching is student-centered rather than lecture-centered. So we have a number of pedagogical training activities, but also in-house training. Whenever we have, Professor was mentioning about transdisciplinary. This is what we do. We make sure that within the institution, we train each other as faculty or staff members. Of course, in absence of students, because sometimes you shy away when you are trained in the presence of students. So among ourselves, we conduct these trainings. So we challenge each other. At the end of the day, we get those skills. The impact, yes, we have a lot of impact. Maybe to show a few, like we have a teaching factory concept, but we have a company, which is a subsidiary company. If you look at we did the Tracer study last year, our employment rate is 76%, and we are also having a lot of increase in female participation in engineering, science, and technology. We are in a process of getting ISO certification, but we are also moving to paperless, because most of software that we developed, we are actually having by we develop our own software to make sure that we move to paperless. We have been winning in so many innovation exhibitions. This shows that our innovation products are really reflecting what is needed in the industry. And currently we have an agreement that in any forum for innovation, we need to go with the product, not this prototype, which we just, if we go with the product, it's easier to convince even some, partners or business people to invest some money out of it. So we go with the products. And these are some of the winning, impact. But again, I want to thank the ISTRIP project, because we are establishing 2 centers of excellence through the ISTRIP project. The Center of Excellence in ICT, we just gave it the name Rafiki, but it's actually a regional flagship ICT center. Rafiki is a friendly, so we want the center to be friendly. That's why we give it the name. But we also have a Center of Excellence in leather, leather processing and allied technologies in Mwanza campus. So through this project, we have been, we benefited from a number of things, including capacity building for our staff members. So all these exchange programs, industrial linkage, we were able to do that because of the ISTRIP project. But again, one of the most important things is 80% of the budget for the project goes to upgrading the key infrastructure. So we benefited. We have a 5-story building, which is going to have a state-of-the-art equipment for labs. So we have a number of labs with cybersecurity, forensic software. These are very important for us to perfect our innovations that will be coming out of the research and the projects. But there is also a hostel for female students, international students. We need to have international students coming to our institution. Yes, with that, I have many, but let me stop here, and thank you very much for listening.
I told you, he will tell you how we moved from Dar es Salaam to Bongo land. Bongo is brain, and they use brains. And I see, Doctor, you've really moved from waiting for the government to do stuff for you to asking your students to do stuff for themselves. I am speaking for everyone here. You are amazed. I know. You are amazed at what a local institution can do. Some of us are jumping through puddles of water waiting for the government to come and fix it. Isn't it? And they said, no, let's use this as a teaching factory. What a concept. Wonderful. A few questions for our presenter, and then we'll go into the panel. Just about 3 questions. Can someone run the mic for me? If you can identify the questions. Are there any questions? I can't see. I feel like I'm on a train track. Oh, 1, 2. We need one from our sister. These are all men over here. 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Mwenda. I'm Professor Kaije Majak from the Adventist University of Central Africa. I'm in charge of research and publications. Now, thank you for this good presentation. My question is about competition. We can see that Dar es Salaam Institute of Technology can be more competitive than small vendors in the fishery, for example, in Mwanza or the leather technology. So how do you work with small vendors or those factories which also do the same thing as what your campuses are doing? Don't you think that you are absorbing the capacities for small factories? In other words, how do you collaborate so that both of you are winners? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So my name is Salome Maro. I'm from the University of Dar es Salaam. And I have to say I'm very amazed by the very nice presentation here. So I just wanted to ask, from the presentation, it seems like everything is so smooth and it goes so easily. But maybe you know what are the challenges of establishing a company, while as a university we are always expected to be more of a knowledge builders rather than companies. So maybe you can also talk about that.
Thank you. I'm Dr. Moses. Yes.
Yes, sir.
I come from
Yes.
Okay, I'm Oluwajedikun Protestant University of Rwanda. Well, just very quickly, how do you ensure the protection of your intellectual property? Where does it rest? Does it rest with you, or does it rest with the partners that you work with? And then the registration of patents, how do you go about it? And the third one is, what is the kind of interaction? Because you establish mock companies initially. I think I got that before, obviously they become real. So do you have people who sit alongside your students in terms of the legal procedure and the steps towards registration of the company or the legal instruments that you use. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Mine is a bit, first of all, I want to thank for good presentation. And my concern is how do the university connect with secondary schools so that by the time these students come to the university, already they are in line of connecting with the university curriculum. Thank you.
All right, take those ones, and then we'll close.
Yes, thank you very much for the questions. The first question from Professor from Adventist University, the competition. Let me say that we really don't compete, rather we complement each other because we are training institution. Remember, when our student graduates, those are the areas that employ them. And in most cases, we actually work together because when we have a project, we look for people, expertise, first from our institution, but second we go to our alumni, if any, alumni, but also to our partners. And that's why when we sign MOU, means whenever you have a project, you need to work together. Remember, still DIT is a training institution, but we are trying to make sure that the training is smooth and all the necessary skills are also imparted to staff and students. The establishment of the company, remember a company is a money-making company. One, the profit that we get from the company also supports some other areas easily, like for these innovations. It's very difficult to take university money to put in some, because always the budget is not enough. So we don't really compete with them. Rather, we complement with them. We take them as our partners, because at the end of the day, that's where our students get employment. Yeah. The second question from Dr. Salome. Yes, I didn't want to put some challenges, because most of the time if we put challenges, people will start getting afraid. Challenges to us are opportunities. So we don't take them in a negative way. We have challenges as the company. Of course, we have challenges as an institution. As a company, we do projects just like any other company. So all those challenges that other company gets, we also get the same challenges. Except that we are being favored because of being the government institution, so there is a little bit of grease, kind of. But again, we are on disadvantage sometimes, because if the institution wants to, is not sure of the fund that they have in a certain project, they will say, okay, take this project to the IT Company Limited. They will just implement it. When it comes to payment, when it comes to paying, then it's a problem. Of course, we have those delays in the payment of the project that we execute. But now to overcome that, we make sure that we have as many projects as possible. As I'm speaking, we have ongoing projects, 12 ongoing projects. So if one project doesn't have, it has some challenges, at least we can offset using some other fund. In that way, we tend to address. So we have challenges, but we take those challenges as opportunities. We want our staff also to participate in this project, because they have to know that you can deliver sometimes and get delay on payment. They have to know that in the real world. And again, remember when we do these projects like construction projects, we normally sign a contract with a client. And within the contract, we have what we call defect liability period, which is the money which will be retained by the client before they are released, for maybe for 1 year. And sometimes you'll find that is the profit for us. So you wait to the profit for 1 year, you can imagine. So those are the challenges that we get as a company. But we are really happy, because being a subsidiary company, the operational policy and procedure allow us to use all the facilities of the DIT as long as they support teaching and learning. And all the projects that we do, of course, support teaching and training, because the projects are implemented by staff members and the student members, and the students. So we have challenges, yeah. Professor, IPR issue is one of the things that the company is spearheading. We said, okay, if you let the institution work on chasing the IPR issue, then they have some other things to do. We need a dedicated company to make sure that they spearhead that. I've showed some of the innovations that have been commercialized. They are patented already. But we invite the people who are responsible with the IPR to come and give talk on regular basis to make sure that whenever you have an innovation, then also that becomes part and parcel. There are issues of entrepreneurship in corporation, but also issues of patent. So we are doing it as a company to support these innovations for staff and students once they identify. We don't want them to suffer chasing issues of IPR. So we do that. But again, we support the registration process. That's what I want to say. Yes, for the secondary school students coming to university linkage, I showed in one of my slides that we normally invite secondary school students to come and use these facilities. The idea is to make sure that we really entice them to come and join engineering and to realize the beauty and the potential that is available in engineering. Because if you have someone went to the college, graduated, and is unemployment, then even the parents are also very much disappointed. What we need to do is to make sure that the student, the graduate, will ask for capital, but they will have all the necessary skills. Once they have skills, it's easier to give them capital because you know what they are going to do with the capital. But if you don't have skill, there is no way you can get that. You can make the best use of whatever capital. So we are trying to go at lower levels to make sure that, because these are our future students, remember. So we have to mold them as they come to the institution. Already they have mindset of innovation and the commercialization issue, a company, how do we work with the company, how to establish your own company, because some of them, they dream to be CEOs of their own company, and we want to make their dreams becomes true. Yeah, thank you very much, bro.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Another big round of applause. Thank you, Dr. Musumba, for challenging us. I'm already thinking, what can we fix using our students at USIU? Thank you for challenging us. All right, it's now my joy to invite our colleagues who are going to be panelists here. And I'll start with Dr. Eugene Mutimura. Are you here? I'll have you occupy this seat. Engineer Anke Weshite. And Anke said she has a presentation. Please cue it, because that will be her presentation. Willkommen. Professor Jane Ambuko. Professor Jane, right here. Dr. Ignace Gatare. Next to Ambuko. And appearing online is our colleague, Professor Karoli Njau. Dr. Eugene is the Executive Secretary, National Council for Science and Technology in Rwanda. Engineer Anke is co-founder and chair, Innovation and Business Management, Farm Biotechnology and Traditional Medicine Center, at Mbarara University for Science and Technology in Uganda. Professor Jane, Professor of Horticulture and Post-Harvest Specialist, University of Nairobi, Kenya. Dr. Gatare, Principal of University of Rwanda, College of Science and Technology here in Rwanda. And Professor Karoli is a Nelson Mandela African Institution of Science and Technology in Tanzania. Welcome, panelists. And we have 3 questions, but you can take whichever you want at any time. And we'll start the way you came in and end with our colleague who is online. The questions are, how can universities better support commercialization of research findings and creation of spin-off companies? And you're not going to say what Musumba has said. You have to come up with your own ideas and examples. All right? That's the ground rule. Number 2, what key criteria do industry consider when evaluating university research for commercialization potential? And 3, what role can government play in fostering a more conducive environment for technology transfer and commercialization of research? These questions were shared with you ahead of time, so I know you are ready. We start here. You can use your opportunity. There you go.
So,
10 minutes.
Thank you, moderator, and very challenging because Dr. Musumba John has more or less comprehensively addressed these questions in his slides. And thank you very much, Dr. Musumba, for the wonderful work that you are doing at the University of Dar es Salaam. And so I think one of the things that the universities should be doing to support research and innovation leading to commercialization is based overall on 3 key principles. One is policy. They should be institutional policy, but also guided by national policy that tackles a broad range of things in terms of national vision, but also institutional vision. What do you want to attain within a specific period of time? And I should say that most of our policies have in the past been anchored towards more of academic work than industrial work and commercializing products. Second level is institutional frameworks and guidelines or strategies that are key also elements to guide what you have to do at universities. The third level is leadership and governance. You really have to have a good governance and accountability mechanisms. I'm sure Dr. Musumba John, his presentation has alluded on that when he talked about the different partners and different way that he does his work. There should be a high level of good governance and accountability in order to ensure the success. But at the lower level, what we see in implementation of many of the national, institutional, university that enables them to commercialize the projects. We also know that most of our institutions and our countries in the region and globally have very good policies. But how do you bring down the real policy work to real life situation? Most of our universities have maybe technology transfer offices, but are they functional? And some may not even be existing. These are critically important because they have to help nurture the scientists, both young innovators, the scientists, to ensure that they guide them towards growing along the technology readiness level. Otherwise, that will not happen. The other element is capacity building. Provide mentorship, coaching for these young innovators, particularly in the areas of business and marketing. Let them have a business plan and business mind orientation. For some of the projects we have funded, and for the examples that I know, they have reached the level of commercialization, they have gone through the regulatory processes, they have been certified, FDA, and they are somewhere. And then I asked them a question, what else do you want to do? Oh, well, I want to do a randomized controlled trial within the whole country, and then global, and then, do you need money? They say, yes, of course, I need money. Why don't you consider, commercializing your product? Because you are ready. It's a fertilizer, it's a product, you are already doing it, why don't you consider that? So you realize they don't have enough knowledge in terms of being business-oriented. So what we do, we have provided funding for pre-incubation training. Give them time so that they are able to nurture their innovation further, so that they understand it better. Because they are trained as scientists, they are trained as innovators, they lack this knowledge, whether you like it or not. So make sure that you do that. The other element is incentivizing them. We have developed a research project called Academia-Industry Collaboration. We talk about a lot academia-industry collaboration. And we feared it would end there. So we said, let us challenge our innovators and researchers, but also support them. Challenging them to give them money, about 150 million Rwandan francs at 100,000, So give them money, but also challenge them and make sure that when they go to do the work with industry partners, give them more money to ensure that they are out of their offices. They spend most of the time in industrial places. We have a lot of opportunities out there, Kigali Innovation City industry area, but how many are there? That's very, very important. So for the time being, I should leave it there. If time allows, we'll talk more.
Thank you very much. Please roll the video for Anke.
Ben, can you kindly give me the clicker? Oh, thank you very much. So, good, thank you very much for inviting me to be part of the panel. I am here representing the university, as I'm an academia, but I have experience in private sector as well, you will hear later. So I have actually attempted to answer all the 3 questions briefly and make some notes in form of a presentation. What we do as a university, invite practitioners to be in the class and laboratory to teach, regardless if they have papers or not. Some people have no papers, but knowledge. So not all knowledge is in form of papers. Curriculum review was mentioned earlier to put innovation, incubation, innovation as part of the course curriculum and also to be allocating marks. I know students like to have a kind of a pressure. If a course or a unit or topic is not marked, students have less attention or respect to it. So give them marks, and the marks are part of the total marks. Innovation grants. I know every university has a budget for R&D. Put part of it in an innovation grant as part of your annual budget. Organize innovation competition as part of your university, student and private sector and community engagement. Clear IP policy, a pledge to the Vice Chancellors, principals and directors of institutions. It should be a win-win. There is the innovator, there is the university/innovation hub. They all need to win. No one puts effort when nothing remains for them. There is a case where a professor has innovated a product in Tanzania. I worked with him 15 years ago, and he told me, he showed me the patent very enthusiastic. I started reading, I didn't see his name. Say, where's your name? Oh, 100% of the patent is for the universities. Oh, Paul Lesana, that's not nice. Yeah. So, what about the promotion policy? Academia like to be promoted. Why? You have more repetition, you can apply for bigger grants when you are a professor and not when you are a junior lecturer. In promotion is very important, and it's not only to be counted by papers. Imagine someone establishing a whole institute, a whole center, creating 30 scholarships for PhD, 60 scholarships for masters, working 6 years at the university, and not being promoted. I mean, what else should someone do to be promoted? It's not only paper, academia, number of paper, number of students supervised. What is your output? What are your children? What are your innovation? What are your physical output, intellectual output besides the classical academia? Put innovation hubs at universities. Yes, Para University of Science and Technology has put several hubs. We have like 3 hubs and a business clinic. And recently, just 1 month ago, we have created the Must Holding Company. Now, this is the business arm of a university. I know some presenters for me have mentioned there must be a commercialization, and within the university framework is very hard. And that's why the university has also now a holding company. Allow the hubs to run business-like. Imagine you procure 1 liter of ethanol. On procurement is 50,000 Uganda shilling. On the market from the supplier is 10,000, the good quality. How can you make business when you go through procurement? The demand of something is now. The procurement takes you 1 month plus more. And don't even calculate the time you spend and the hours you spend to pass through the papers. So we need to make sure that the innovation hubs at your universities have the right to work business-like. I know Farm Biotruck applied for it, but the Auditor General of Uganda said, no, you're not allowed to have your own account business-like. So this is still a loophole. Hopefully the holding now can fix it. That is very difficult. Then at universities, establish a directorate or DVC in innovation and entrepreneurship. That will help to see they are sitting together. DVC AA, academic affairs, DVC finance and administration, and DVC innovation entrepreneur. They will sit on one table, and that is where decisions are made on allocation. So this directorate or DVC would be good. Alternative to pure performance. I mentioned here, for example, making a PhD by an alternative route. Not classic public publication, sitting in classroom, listening to professors, but why not you show that you have established something? Document the whole process, it's up to 15 years, and you can defend it as a PhD in front of a panel. I know there's an Italian company called Venture PhD. They have such models. If someone is interested, I would like to share it with you. It's not something new, but not in Africa. So why the industry? What is the industry wanting? They want proof of concept. your thing doesn't make money? That is why the innovation hubs should have pilot manufacturing process. There's a lab with all the glass, shiny, shiny glass. Then in my field of pharmaceuticals, on herbal medicine, on cosmetics, we need now the small industry, 50-liter, 100-liter batches, and run them in stainless steel, the normal factory, so that the industry say, oh, it works. And let the incubatee work in a kind of a contract manufacturing relationship to have output, have sales, have papers, have figures for the businessman or the investor to even buy the whole idea. But we need these hubs be factory-like to start with. Clear win-win. All have to win, business have to win, but please don't forget the innovator. These are critical part of the society, are innovators. They need to be rewarded for their input, so when businesses start uptaking the ideas, please share your royalties or licenses with them. They also need to survive. Trusted partnership. I know sometimes industry fears, someone yesterday mentioned, industry fears IP to be stolen by the student and staff who come in for internship. There need to be right ethical decisions and contracts that this is not happen. Clear transfer. Now, when industry takes over the innovation, what are the paperwork? What is the IP? Who has it? How is it shared? Very clear. Willingness to pay. Oh, we can sing a song about willingness to pay. Innovation incubation is not an easy process. Some innovators really kicked up well and have good output and good sales, but getting their royalties as agreed in an innovation contract is hard to get. This is from both sides. Both sides, the innovator and incubator, should work together and make it ethical. If you get an innovation grant from an incubator, which is interest-free, a grant, no loan, and you're creating something out of it, this is part of investment of the incubator. Also the training. Please pay back so that we get the money as an incubator and can innovate and can support other students and staff. Share the pain points. Industry, come to university, especially the innovation hubs are good docking points. You may not get a locked door when you come to our innovation hub. Share your pain points. We can discuss with you on great study topics so that the students, instead of studying whatever, will study your topic. By the way, students sometimes go the easy way, and I tell you why. Simple. Pinsi punsi. Hella hella. Students make topics to get their paper, not to solve a problem. Why? Doing science, real science to solving problem is expensive. So they do some theoretical literature, something simple, just to sail through to get a paper. So if the industry want to solve a problem by a student, please also put some money in it. Universities are not cash cows. The students normally, they have to pay themselves. They will go for the cheapest because there's no money. So please, industry should also pay, or not only say university is free. It's not free, they all pay. Let's do some little math. How many in the audience are private sector, real private sector? Hands up, please. Long hand, so I can easily count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11. Now, how many of you have been sponsored to come to this meeting? How many out of the 11? Hands up. 1, 2, 3, 4. 11 to 4. I will not now make the other question, academia. I'm just telling you how we need to assess. We can do the paperwork. We talk to the two bosses and see the statistics in their invitation on funding. I don't want to make it here. I'm just giving you an idea. The challenge is that private sector is expected to have money. It's not always true. To come to PPP, to meet. No. Respect them invite them in the same level as you invite the other stakeholders. They are just stakeholders. They are not making money to be here with you. They are getting idea, they share, so it's good, equal. If you want 5 private sector, 5 this, give them all the money to come. Time often they have, because they're also willing to work with you, academia. But don't expect them to have the money in the pocket. They are very economical, they know see what's effective. So they will not get it. Aha. Government.
5 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. The government. Support all stakeholders equally. I have already revealed it. I just give you a teaser. Creating conducive regulatory framework. Make sure for innovation incubation you have one-stop center. You come in and get a service, or not run through different corners of a city and spend days to get the paperwork done. Provide incentives for uptake of science into industry. Tax rebate. How is tax rebate? Tax holiday. I see in Uganda that mostly foreign investors get tax holiday, tax rebate. They get land, free land, here, build here, build here. Here is. What about the local innovators? Do you get land? No. Some few get, yes. I know some few get land on everything, but most of them not. Tax rebate, tax holidays for innovation, local innovation, very important. Provide financial support for R&D, grant subsidies, and for the industry, sometimes low-interest loans. Sometimes equipment is very expensive, and the amortization rate is very low. It takes 5 to 10 years to amortize a $2 million investment. But if the loan is 10% per year, oh man. In Europe, there is loans of 0.5, 1% for infrastructure development, for investment in industry. These type of loans, Africa need. Not these loans of minimum 10%. You say, oh, that's a good loan. It's not good. Imagine you buy a factory. Instant coffee factory. Do you know how much it is? The minimum is 2 million. A good one is 5 million. I got a quotation one time. I just sat down and said, I want to build one. But when you get loan of 10%, you can never amortize it. So that is important for investment for the government. Invest in infrastructure, build research parks, incubator innovation hub, contract manufacturing facilities, and provide it to the innovators. What is the challenge? Most small innovators, they don't have the money to build a first factory, but contract manufacturing facilities can support and bridge the gap between prototyping, lab, microprocessing, and now the factory. On our bigger dream as Farm Biotrack, we are not here to sleep. We have a $40 million investment proposal to build up training capacity, accelerating innovation incubation, contract manufacturing for herbal medicine, cosmetics, and medicine for animal, medicine for plants, because they are all in a similar way of producing, as well as beverages, and conservation. Our Farm Biotrack has already started to build a botanical garden for training, for community engagement, and for conservation. So this is a 40 million project. We are looking for funding. Please, if you like to discuss with us, we are open to do so. Thank you very much for inviting me to come and share with you. There's one last point. Give scholarships. You know, you guys give scholarship in the University Council. Nice scholarship. Please, give scholarships to innovators. You give 3 years scholarships to master's, PhD, 2-year master, bachelor, 4-year. You give scholarship. What is a scholarship? Tuition fee, living cost, housing allowance, health insurance, flying around. Why not giving these to incubatees as well? An incubatee come to my incubator, gets a 2-year scholarship, full like any other student. What is the output? A company. What is the output? Jobs created. Because if you're 2 years, you support an innovator. He or she will have the time to think of your innovation. If not, he or she splits her mind and her money into surviving, get food on the table, and attend to the innovation. Give full scholarships to innovator. Thank you.
Ambuko? Yes.
So I think most of the things that I would need to say have been said. The war between academia and the private sector, but there is no war. What we've agreed that we're going to work together, okay? So I think what I've learned from yesterday is the fact that there has to be a mindset change for us as researchers. I missed Professor Ariho's presentation yesterday because I've worked with him a little bit on innovation, and I'm sure he painted the picture of what happened, because we know what happens, what's happening in our universities. And when you're talking about innovation, I think at some point we have been painted as ivory towers. We're doing our own things and not doing what the industry requires. But I have to debunk that myth, the fact that the research in the universities actually is not just research. In the past, I think when I was a student, probably then, we were not required to do much. But currently, if you go to sit in a graduate student's proposal presentation, it is very thorough. We task the students to actually address a real problem. And we push them like to think, to justify their research. So at the end of their research, there's always an innovation. There's always an innovation. So let us just appreciate that we are not just doing research for research's sake, at least not in my faculty as I know it. So if the student is on their own, we push them to address a real pain point. And we see how their research is going to be conducted to address it. If not, we bring them on board in our research. Yeah? We, the researchers, you have a project, you've conceptualized the problem, and so you bring, either it's a donor-funded project, I'll come to that later. So we bring students to be part of our research team. So it is not null, it's not zero-sum. We actually are addressing a problem. I think the conversation we've had here is that changing that part, that this problem we're addressing, we must actually work with the industry. Yeah? Like she's saying that the problem is that we're not working with the industry. I'm in the horticulture sector, and I interact with the horticulture people a lot. So I tend to understand their issues. And, so I challenge my students about the kind of research that is required. So we actually, ultimately, at the end of it, we come up with solutions. The problem is that we have our solutions, the industry has your problems, and our solutions, when we have done the research, as we said, for us, the matrix is the papers, the thesis, yes? So at the end of the day, the research ends up in a thesis, in a journal paper. If you're lucky, you'll hear about it in a conference, because not everybody goes to conferences. So, so paper, that is what is expected of us, right? And even when it comes to the student graduating, when the student is defending, remember at the proposal stage, we push them to tell us the problem and how their research is going to address that problem. So there's an innovation. But when they come to the defense, we hardly ask the question. We just, when we're chairing the defense, you're like, have you published? Yeah, have you published? How many papers? If it's masters, at the time of defense, you must show evidence that your one paper is published. And if PhD, you must show evidence your two or three papers are published. We don't ask, like, okay, the innovation that you are coming up with, is it out? Where is it? What's the status? That question disappears somewhere. because the requirements to graduate is the paper. And sometimes we ask, have you shared these findings? But it's not really important. The papers, the thesis, and we're done. Yesterday, I think Dr. Gashuga, I don't know if he's in the audience, he said, maybe it's about time we change the requirements. But I don't know if there are any academia in this audience. Okay, there are many of us. I have, of course, we do. So what am I asking? So imagine if now, already it's hard enough, people feel it's hard enough to meet these requirements, the publication points, the number of students supervised, and if you brought a grant, those are the usual things to be promoted. Just imagine you layer it again with innovation commercialized. It won't work. It is a hard sell. Okay, it's a thing we need to do, but it's a hard sell for the students and for the academia. I don't know what will change, because already even the requirements that are there are already a challenge, So I know that conversation we need to have it, that we set out to do innovation. We research. We come up with innovative products, solutions, but after the thesis defense and graduation, these ones, they are available in journals and in the thesis, that's it. So we need to do that and change that conversation and see how do we get these innovative solutions. And there are many, I can tell you. Every thesis in the library has an innovative solution to some challenge. That is a fact. So we must, make an effort to sensitize the researchers, okay? And at the very beginning, that innovation, that innovative solution that you're researching on needs to go to commercialization. That is where the challenge is, because as you've said, we have DVC research. In my university, we have DVC research, innovation, and enterprise. Actually, before it used to be DVC research. And then it was changed to DVC research, innovation, and enterprise. And so under that, we even have a division. Under that division, we have director of research and director of innovation. It is there. Those offices are there. But you find the way they work, like mine, University of Nairobi is huge. We have 6 campuses. So, this office I'm talking about is based at the main campus. And it has like 3 staff who work there. And, they're supposed to, it even has the property, the IPO office, the lawyers there. But it's one against the whole population. And so it is, in fact, for us researchers, it's to go look for them and say that I have this innovation and I'm thinking, can it be? And remember, researchers, this is what I came to discover later. You need to protect the idea long enough before you publish, before you go talk about it in the conference. So I came to realize one time, somebody said, this innovation, is it protected? No, I don't know. And when I went there, he asked me, have you shared it? Yeah, sure, published. I've talked about it in conference. It's gone. So, so we don't know. You see, people, we don't know. We've not been sensitized to know that as you do the research, know the innovation, start protecting it, don't go talking about it. But now researchers, we are so excited about our research. We want to go to the next conference to talk about it, to publish. In any case, that's what my student requires to graduate. So you see, that sensitization is required. I can talk about myself. I lead, you're told I'm in post-harvest, and I lead a multidisciplinary research team. That team, over the years since 2018, we've come up with like 6 innovative solutions for cold storage and from food processing. And like I said, after I was sensitized, I went to the IP office and I told them, okay, these are our innovations with the students. Can you do what is required? So you know what, the best they can do is, there's something they do, I don't know the process, they register it, so they give you a number, they give you a number, like, it's protected. Yeah, but that's it. My 6 innovation innovative ideas. They're still at the IP. I always ask, oh, where have we reached with my innovations? Yeah, you know, yeah. So, so it is there. The problem is we have these things. Okay, me, I'm a sensitized innovator myself. I think I have gone to, but there are many people, innovations, they're there. Sometimes you hear something has come up, student graduate, but there's nothing. So sensitization is part of it. Support from the university, the IP office should be there. And so if we can do that, I'm sure we can actually get a lot of innovations out. Right now, I have to give credit to as we talk about this industry academia partnership, University of Nairobi, Faculty of Agriculture, we've just got into a partnership with the big industry partner, Elgon Kenya. Okay, I'm from the Faculty of Agriculture. So our innovation is about agriculture. So we now, with the partnership, because we've been singing this song too long, and somebody heard us, and so we have the Kantaria family come to support the University of Nairobi. So we have just next month, God willing, we're going to launch the Kantaria Agriculture Technology Innovation Center at the Faculty of Agriculture. And this is supposed to be our kind of solution to bridge the gap between the academia industry. We're actually going to allocate the industry space to come work with us, to co-create solutions. So we have field innovations, lab innovations. So the space is gonna be there. And so the conversation needs to change, and hopefully the industry, like you're saying, will, because we need resources to do that. Now we have the infrastructure, but we need funds to actually operationalize that center. So I'm hoping going forward, we should do that. But the other thing, there are many things I could say, but the other thing I needs to, and she said already, and yesterday it was said, that universities need to set aside seed fund, yeah? University have to deliberately set aside some seed fund. I mean, if you have a whole division of research innovation and it's zero fund, it can't work. Because as it is, I don't know about your universities, but many of the researchers, our funding, our research is actually donor funded. Is that right? Most of our research, personally, I think, led more than 30 projects, small, large, medium, but all of them are donor funded. A call comes out, we respond, we get fund. We actually driving somebody else's idea, but we are in the business of doing research. So until the university actually deliberately sets aside some seed fund to support the faculty and student research, then we'll continue doing these donor-funded projects, which, of course, we get, the outputs out, which is okay. But the tragedy of that, I don't know if any of us has the misfortune of having had a USAID fund. I don't know because it was just cut. We had just started doing a very good community impactful project. We had done everything. It was targeting 2 counties. We were halfway. And we were told, you know what, it's done. It's done. We are halfway. It's a tragedy because the farmers that we are to work with are expectant. We have already painted the picture of what is going to happen. We have structures at the farm level, and we have things we have started. We were just at the place of where we are connecting the two. And then we're told, it's done. No funds. So what happens? No, a minute. 2, I also had before that, I had a project with the UK Aid before COVID. Just before COVID. And it was also another innovative solution for, I'm in horticulture, low-cost refrigerated transport. So we came, it was a partnership between University of Nairobi, a private company, and University of Brunel in the UK. And we came up with a prototype for cold storage, moving produce from the farm to the market. It was halfway done. There are a few things we needed to do, and then take it to the users. And then COVID happened, and then priorities changed. And we're told the UK funding, done. So I still have that structure. at the hub is there. It's, sorry, a white elephant. I mourn about it. I bring people, they look at it. I tell them the story of this, how it should have helped, the farmers. But it's there. But you can imagine if the university had some seed fund, I would apply for these funds, and because this is very real practical solution. And say, you know what, I don't even need to justify, because it's a solution that is real. But no, there is no such fund for me to apply for the recently stopped USAID fund and the UK. So you see, that's the challenge, the fact that the universities do not have seed fund.
All
So
right.
we are left.
Prof, enough.
I needed this whole session for myself.
No, this is no longer, now you're venting you've been wounded by your donors. We can't help you here. Thank you.
No, we need a solution.
Dr. Katare.
Thank you very much. I think we have learned a lot from the previous speakers. I think from the setting up the enabling environment, I think the first speaker said it. We need a soft and hard infrastructure. So at the University of Rwanda, College of Science and Technology, so we value that. We work with a group of partners, and we have 3 incubators, incubation centers. I want to take this opportunity to thank the IUCA because they've been supporting the Grid Innovation Incubation Hub, which was the first innovation to thrive and to provide products. I think they are here in the room. And I was very excited to find how students can come with innovative projects in renewable energy and environmental friendly products. These are products which are available. And some of the experience I can share, and the private sector has been tagged as money-oriented. I want to say the contrary of that, because they've been giving their time to participate in the selection of those incubation. During the session, they've been playing as a mentor, so a student could receive industry standard skills. And myself, when I sign the letter of appointment, I read them small money, which just a facilitation maybe for transport. But if I want to take it as a consultancy and value it in terms of impact, I should multiply it, I can say 50 times, because they are generous. What am I trying to say? If there is a conducive environment which creates a trust between the private sector and university, there will be such kind of transaction happening. So I have many testimony. For the sake of time, I will just mention that. So I think involving the industry, that was my key point. The university, apart from the policy and the infrastructure we put in place, we need to create an environment which attracts the private sector. And attracting the private sector, in my opinion, since we know that they are profit-oriented, and my sister here was mentioning about our matrix of paper I've published in Nature. So actually in academia, publishing in Nature, we know that is a standard, the heaven for quality publication if you want to rank, if you're a believer. So for a scientist, publishing in Nature can be valuable than receiving a 2 million grant, for example, from sometimes. Because at the end of the day, we don't have the same metrics. So how can a university allow the scientists to publish in high impact? And we have to define what do we mean by high impact. So you see, we are operating in a sphere where we have different metrics. So I think this platform of academia, public-private partnership should be a platform to harmonize our metrics. What do you measure as a success? My sister is referring to the ladder of promotion. If I'm a professor, how can I grow and climb the ladder and understand that I'm also a citizen who shall contribute to the society, transformation. And if we create that, and I think that the RCA, my call for action, is to create, and I think this policy or strategy approved or launched yesterday, create a pipeline through which we can create that conversation of redefining our metrics so that we know that the university can develop research for publication and be ranked. We also like ranking. And also be capable of impacting. So my call is to create that link between the university, create trust so that the industry participates. Yesterday, one of the speakers referred to a project in Rwanda called Priority Skill for Growth. For the first time, and I was already principal when that project was launched, to explain to our lecturer that he has to go for internship placement in industry. Can you imagine? I have a degree, I'm a professor, and one of the requirements to teach in that program was you have to show that you have exposure to the industry. Why am I? We can make statistic here. We'll see I'm a professor. I've been a tutorial assistant because I've been first class, hired by the university as a tutorial assistant, and then I've been promoted to assistant lecturer after my master's, 2 years. And I went for PhD. I come back as a PhD in even advanced manufacturing, whatever. I never manufacture anything. And then I will be professor of manufacturing to teach students to manufacture. So I think we are laughing, but that is the reality. So I think we need to say, if you're a professor of manufacturing and you have to manufacture for the industry, can you talk to those who manufacture so that we can train or innovate or develop products? So I think the case of DIT, and I want to congratulate really John Nsumba, doctor, I think that should be at the level of IUCN. That's my call for action, called the DIT model. We have to not patent it because I want to access that knowledge. So my call for action is to develop such a model where we have models. If something is working somewhere, let us document it as a process, and so that you can transfer that knowledge. And I hope DIT accept that is a shared good knowledge. That's why we're here. And then we say, if the model has worked here, and we have also some experience at the College of Science and Technology or any other, we can develop a platform where success stories can be transformed into well-documented processes so that we can have it implemented in our region. And our friend from USA yesterday showed us something which is working also. So that is on the side. And the industry, what is the industry expecting from us, the criteria? I like one of the industry standards, which is called lean management or lean manufacturing. I hope some of you are familiar with that. So it takes this following status. If something does not produce value, it's a waste. So if you have a paper, you have published the paper, it's published, no one has read it, so the impact factor is even if you have published that paper, you should not be proud of that paper. Because according to the lean management principle, is a waste. Why? There is what we call value pool, meaning someone should consume what you are producing for it to be a value. So you have to create a flow. So in our university, I think, my call for action, for those who are not, I used to read that principle and I'm challenged to implement them and I'm still struggling to implement them. Even DIT system, if you have accumulated product, you celebrate, you have innovation, if someone doesn't consume that prototype, according to lean management, is a waste. Meaning you should not even start because you have to do what you call value mapping. You have to see what is the value, who is the consumer. So I think we need to try, that is my call, for the industry, even our industry, to grow. If they don't apply, I think the best people very good in applying it these are Japanese. And we know where they are now. And I think their principle applied everywhere. And then we have to eliminate waste. That is one of the principles of lean management. So eliminate waste. So by eliminating waste, what I see, revise our processes in a university so that they're industry compliant, so that we interest the industry to come and consume our innovation. So that will create, I think, a very conducive environment which attract the industry to us. So the role of government, I think my sister Anke mentioned it very well, and she listed a number of bullets, which I agree, I concur, I'm not going to repeat, but I want to touch on the role of government. And I'm happy that the Executive Secretary of our National Council for Science and Technology is here, is what Africa is lacking. In my opinion, it can be challenged and contradicted here. We have strategy at the national level. We have strategy at the even regional level, bioeconomy strategy at the ESC level and other things, Africa Vision 2060, and each country has its vision. Rwanda has a Vision 2050, and it's then at a more planning level, we have national strategy for transformation. But I think when we talk about government, my expectation is that we have a forum through which we break down those big goals and strategy. At the global level, we can even include SDGs, to convert them into tangible goals which may require us to mobilize funding so that we agree who is doing what. So I want to refer to division of labor. If the university, for example, of Kenya, Nairobi, is called to address the issue of fertilizer, the import, we don't want to reduce the importation of fertilizer. This is a well-known science and technology domain. We can work together to reach the point where at the national level, we want to increase the import, so there is an import substitution, and also define what will be our strategy for export. So then we will have clusters. And there, I want to emphasize the role of government. When we have clusters, you may need some investment at the beginning, which will require the government intervention. And we've seen it in many countries. And in Asia, for example, we know my friend who spoke yesterday, I call him my friend because we're almost in the same sector, the Taiwan case of microelectronics, how they developed the microelectronics industry, the cluster. And they're now at the global level, the leader in that industry, at least for chip manufacturing. we can think about clusters, and then the government can put some infrastructure at the beginning, which are heavy, require more investment, and then university and industry can benefit from that enabling environment to thrive. In Rwanda, we have just recently received a cabinet support to establish within our College of Science and Technology the STEM R&D lab, which will be supporting the post-prototyping and go to now the developing the product which is ready and responding to the industry standard. So generally when the student is manufacturing or a researcher, they don't follow the standards, because to get the product to the market, you have the Rwanda Standard Board, which has to require that you respect the standards. So I think that platform, once established, will allow us and the industry to use some advanced equipment and infrastructure in order to reach the level of maturity. I want to stop there by thanking you again for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gatare. And then we'll hear from our colleague, Professor Njau, who is online. Professor Njau, it's your turn.
To participate in this. Maybe before I say what I want to say, let me say that I am from Nelson Mandela Institute of Science and Technology, but as a retired professor, and I'm running a company that is started as a research, and therefore I'm doing what I'm delivering engineering products of what I've been researching in. But if in the course of reaching that, I have had experiences, some of them which were very difficult, including starting a company that was coming from research, and this was supposed to be a company that was operating in Ethiopia, Uganda, who we were doing research together, in Tanzania. And it was very difficult to establish this because apparently, even within countries, you have different rules and different approaches. And that company looked like a foreign company in whichever country, so you could not register as a foreign because it's very expensive to do that. That was one, but the other one is that he eventually registered a company in Tanzania, and later, because of what I'm going to discuss, ordered to actually dissolve the company. And despite my effort to educate we professors that we don't have to really dissolve a company, because if it's about ownership, you can change ownership of a company at any time. But that did not make much sense, because you are dealing with people that are scientists, professors, having authority, and therefore I had to dissolve that company, but I registered another one. Now, saying that, what I want to say is that universities, specifically I'm talking of universities, they need a paradigm shift in order to be able to do a meaningful research, innovation, and commercialization. And it has to be and. And I don't think that despite the fact that this is increasing, really, I'm not saying that like there's nothing happening. It's really increasing. If you hear from people like what I heard from DIT, that's the Institute of Technology, is really encouraging that some universities or some institutes are actually moving in the right direction. But still, I feel like if we knew seriously the importance of having our products into the marketplace and not being turned into just importation countries, we would do much more, even the way we handle research, because it will change even the way we conduct our research. We only conduct research making sure that it's leading somewhere into a solution to the problems that are facing our countries, our people. So, and universities, if I look back about the things that I've met, I find that if you go to most of our universities, they have very good documents written by very educated people, the policies, the guidelines. But these documents, most of the time, they are not really friendly to encourage innovation and commercialization, and especially that part of commercialization. They are written sometimes in restrictive manner. They don't allow even innovation in the commercialization process itself. They prohibit, they are prohibitive, they are restrictive. And therefore, you find that people don't have much interest to go into the path of commercialization. Some of the researchers, they don't go there because of the nature of the process itself. And this was alluded by the engineer who presented, the lady who presented, that, for example, if ownership of IP is not encouraging to the researcher, maybe he doesn't find any reason to go into doing research for commercialization purposes, and therefore remaining as an academic person. And in these documents, in my opinion, they also require overhauling, and let them be simple, and let us know that we are actually just starting, and let us allow that we make mistakes, and then we can learn from the mistakes and then make better restrictions or regulations because of the mistakes we make. Currently, in a lot of ways, in some places, you find that we become so restrictive that we don't even allow to learn, the process of learning. And there's no way we are going to get it right unless we allow that we can make mistakes and learn from the mistakes and correct and move forward. And another problem that I'm finding, especially with universities, is that after having, if you have all these policies and the guidelines, etc., you establish the offices, but you don't put the right people to run these offices. And, you know, we should understand that the people that have to run commercialization process, they must be people that know business. They are not academics. And if you tie the whole process into the academic reporting and conducting business, it fails before you start, because, you know, then you have things like, for example, using the same accounting office for dealing with businesses, and this doesn't work because of problems with procurement systems that we have. You find other problems because we cannot really engage the business community to come work with us because of the way that we handle things as academicians. So I think we need a big change there and put the right people who have business minds in running those offices that are particularly involved with innovation. No, not innovation. Innovation, you can have academics, but especially the commercialization process and technology transfer. So research commercialization is a business process and not an academic process. And I don't know how many times I should say this, because a lot of times I've seen problems is because research commercialization has also been dealt as just another academic matter. And this definitely is not, doesn't work well. We need to also establish clear systems of rewarding excellencies in research commercialization and creation of spin-off companies. Instead of punitive measures like striking off a company, imagine a company that is already established and you have to strike it off because some people are quoting some regulations. Some are saying you are a government worker and therefore you cannot start a private business, etc. These kind of things you can find, not in every country, but you can find in some of the countries. And as we have learned, listening to different people and listening also, for example, to my colleague from DIT, even institutions in the same country are not on the same level. And we hope that through this kind of interactions like what we have, we can be able to learn the good approaches that are actually taken by some of these institutions in order to move from where we are. Our young people are ready for innovation and commercialization. The only problem is actually the systems that manage the whole process. They can be a stumbling block. Sometimes I was thinking, why, if we, for example, we want to have a fresh go with this, why don't we just ask the young people who are we are involving in the research and commercialization how they would like to see the policies read like, and then see what comes out of this, because it will be something that will encourage them to continue doing innovation for commercialization. Another important thing that I also thought, and I've seen this, is the fact that we need to make, at universities, we need to make clear guidelines how to deal with different scenarios of IP, even when we have the policy. And I'll give an example. There is a policy currently, our policy is very new now at Nelson Mandela. And of course, the IP belongs to the Nelson Mandela. Fine. And then, you know that even I visited Israel, I visited China, I visited countries which are South Africa, which are very good in commercialization research. And you cannot imagine that every IP you are going to commercialize it because you don't have all that big fund. So, but there are no other ways that these can be handled. And I think what I saw, for example, in Israel, there is an established method that if IP is not being developed by the company that has been like a withholding company for the university, the researchers, they can develop, if they really want to engage into business, they can develop that and continue. There are ways that you can agree, there are ways that you can run it, and everybody is happy. At the end of the day, it's actually a win-win situation. So I would think that for universities, they need really to be more, having documents which are more encouraging for people to participate in the innovation and commercialization. On the part of the governments, first of all, I was commented that one of my colleagues, who is also in the panel, mentioned the importance of having a national document which is guiding the principles, and then it comes down to the universities, to the ground level. And I say, if I look at some of the things, I say, no, that's a wrong approach, because if you have it wrong somewhere, it's very difficult to change documents which are actually coming from the top. But why don't you allow time for documents to actually be developed from the local and let people practice them? Let the experiences like the DIT experience, develop a methodology, and let this methodology and other methodology and then other methodology be put together to make a policy document. And then we will have a document that is also based on experience and practice, rather than currently when we make documents that are actually clever people are sitting. They've never even sold groundnuts on the road, but they're actually discussing about business and how to run business. So I think it can be interesting to allow innovation, to allow making mistakes and correct the mistakes, and therefore have a way that we can handle innovation and commercialization in Africa, because we are so back in this subject. The government can also assist by involving processes and products that are actually coming out of commercialization in all government-funded projects. There is no way that our own systems can actually stand if they are not allowed to actually, they are not protected to be able to stand. And by protection, I don't mean like giving necessarily giving funds, but if you allow everybody to come in and therefore compete with your starting companies, the processes, sometimes it is disadvantageous to the country, because we'll continue to be perpetual importers, and we will never be able to also be producers of our own technologies and also be able to export our technologies. I think these are the things that I had, There was another thing I wanted to say, which I find a lot with universities, that the definition of a prototype by many researchers is taken as a product, but that prototypes are prototypes. And I want to make it very clear that we don't have a problem to produce a prototype at the research level. We can produce very good-looking prototypes, but to produce that commercial prototype or a commercial product, this is a different game, and therefore we need. Sometimes the research can do it, but sometimes we need to other people to be able to help us to be able to go into the product that can actually end up into the market. So this is important for us to know, and we don't want this perpetual attendance to exhibitions and meetings there, getting trophies, to be the end of innovation. We want the products to be in the supermarkets. We want the product to be in the systems. We want the products to be seen and consumed by the markets that are actually within our own countries. So with that, thank you very much for allowing me to give you my feelings about all this.
Thank you, Professor Njau. Receive our clapping, even though we can't give you virtual claps. All right.
It's okay.
All right, so we have great presentations here, people with vast examples and experience, and we have a few questions. I know I am the one standing between you and tea break, but I'm told that you came 30 minutes late. So it's tit for tat. I'm just joking. All right, so we have a few questions, but please make them brief and direct them to a specific person. We can have 5 questions. It would be good if each one went to each of the presenters. And if there are none, that's good, well and good as well. But I wanted to ask us, what would it take to think outside of depending on government? What if all government did was create the right atmosphere for us to thrive? In the most libertarian view of government, the government protects you through security, makes sure there is infrastructure, and then reduces the burden of taxation so that you can thrive. I know. So, if that were the case, then how would we thrive? Because I know we are used to saying, if government can do this, we need donors, we need this. And that's why I'm really excited about the DIT. I don't know if that is a model for us, but what if we started small and started solving problems from our own perspective, where we are? He said they use the funding they get towards solving the problems they have. I don't know if they're given more money than the UDSM, but I wonder why they're not doing the same thing in UDSM. Anyway, that's not my area, but it's a challenge for us. Questions? Someone was running, who can run the mic for me? There's a question here, and another one, and another one. So there are 3, 4 here. Okay. 1. Who is watching these hands? Thank you. The young man from ALU. And this side, over here. Is there any other hand? And if you are not gender sensitive, then I'll ask. Thank you, my sister. That's wonderful. All right, so who has the mic? You can use this one too. Okay. Tell us your name. Please stand and tell us your name. Then ask your question and direct it to someone.
So, thank you very much. My name is Habimana Jean Felix, assistant researcher from Directorate of Research and Community Health at the Rudi High Institute of Health, which is a private Catholic-related high-learning institution that trains health profession. My question or comment goes to Dr. Eugene Mutimura or others who can support them. But my question, as a health professional, I have been thinking on how our daily activities in clinical practice, dealing with the patients who are suffering, then we treat them. And on this point, we come up on how can you indicators of research innovation that can be done on those patients in order to ensure that we are raising the innovation within the kind of innovation that can be done on this aspect. I'm raising these issues because always every year NSST, National Council of Science and Technology, core research for innovation. Then when we write from the clinical health sector, we submit our project. Then at the end, we found that at the end, they vote for project related to science and technology. Then in health, there is no any selected. So that's why I raised this issue to look on how the health sector should reset their indicators that can be respected during evaluating their project. Thank you.
All right. Who else has a mic? All right, please rise up and say your name and ask your question.
Thank you very much. I'm Christine Mutesi from Higher Education Council, Rwanda. Mine is to just reflect on this thriving we are talking about in regards to this journey of partnering with everyone for inclusion. I categorically made my comment in different aspects. We need to strive and not forgetting that our efforts are recognized, but we need to move a bit on building powerful networks. Also, leveraging on whatever we have in terms of resources from personnel, materials, facilities, and everything, because all these things exist. We need also to build good communication strategies from leadership and strategic thinking. We need to stay ahead of the curve by having knowledge being our power and keeping the learning curve in innovative world. Also try to adopt to stay relevant without exhausting ourselves. Striving without sweat isn't about avoiding efforts, but it's about making every effort count. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Who else has a mic? That's a general comment for all of us. Yes, please tell us your name.
Thank you very much. My name is Kazawadi Papias. I'm a Rwandan coming from the professional engineering institutions. I'm not having a question directed to any one of the speakers, but I would like to comment right from the first presenter, the keynote speaker, and all the speakers. But what I want to highlight here that we needed to align with is the role of professional bodies and professional institutions. All the speakers have highlighted some gaps that exist, but I do believe that the gap continues to exist because of the disconnect between the academia and the professional institutions. We do understand, for example, the engineering institutions from the members here who are present. In all the East African countries, at least, we have engineering regulatory bodies and engineering institutions existing. And this could be the areas where we could tap the innovated or invented innovations can be accelerated and implemented if there is a clear framework that link the academia and the institutions and the regulatory bodies. Why am I saying the regulatory bodies is that the research today clearly indicates that people holding masters and PhDs does not qualify them to be good imparters of the knowledge, meaning that I can be a professor in a certain area, but if I don't have the skills of teaching that knowledge and transferring it to other people, it would be a big problem. This is connecting and probably responding to the question raised by Dr. Gatare, where you find that in academia, many people raise in ranks up to professors, but without practical experience. And people with practical experience, probably without that academic excellencies, you find there is a disconnect. And I do believe that that disconnect, if there is a framework on that area alone, can create a momentum that can take us through. Because I don't believe that what is lacking is funding. What is lacking most is the mindset and the connection, the linkage. Because in East Africa, we do have a lot of individual excellencies at individual level, but we lack the institutional competencies that are clearly needed, even in terms of the data, the innovations that are in place. So thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. Who else has a mic?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Chair. From here.
Where are you?
Here.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. My name is Hamad Hamad. I'm from Zanzibar National Chamber of Commerce, CEO. Thank you, the panelists, for good presentation on your areas. But I don't have a question. I would just like to make a comment, specifically from the presentation of Engineer Anke, where one of her bullets, she spoke about giving scholarships to the innovators. I think this is a brilliant idea. And sometimes the university may feel like, no, this is out of budget activity. How can I give a scholarship to someone who is not enrolled in my university? But it's not, it's an investment. We understand that you have a CSR budget supporting your communities. So this scholarship can be given in form of CSR to the local innovators. And you can add value on that by embedding the students who has interest in that particular innovation, so that you build two individuals or two companies at one time from the budget of the CSR. So I think we can also consider this direction. But the other thing is on the commercialization of our projects or of our researches in the universities. I think this one needs a mindset change because we all have been students at in our countries. And what we do in our schools, in our universities, is just to pass exams. We don't mind about the outcomes, what comes after this. We have been to courses that maybe it was not our wishes to do those courses or those programs. It's just because our parents pushed us to go to schools, to go to universities, and then we just we just complete that assignment of our parents. I did international relations because my brother did international relations. And then when I was asked, what do you want to be? I said, I don't know, I just want to finish my degree. And then I never worked on that international relations until now. I graduated in 2005, and then I did my master's again in international relations. I graduated in 2007, and up to now, I'm the CEO of Zanzibar National Chamber of Commerce, where that master's and degree doesn't apply directly. Maybe indirectly by engaging with people, greeting people. Yeah, that's how it works. But I think what we need is to do the mindset change. I'm lucky to have a wife who is in academia, and she's now doing her PhD in environmental health. And I'm helping her in this PhD. But I'm helping her in a way that I'm telling her, okay, after all this, where will you be? And then she says, I will be a PhD holder. And I'm telling her, you have wasted 5 good years just to have this PhD hold, just to be called a doctor. I say, yeah, that's, everyone is thriving for that. I say, okay, but that's not good enough. I think this idea that you have is a money-making idea. You can convert it, and from now on, you can start to think of how you can convert this into a money-making idea. She's studying. She's doing a study on the food waste management in tourist hotels in Zanzibar. And then one of her recommendations is that that food, the remaining of the foods, maybe after lunch or after dinner, should be circulated with the nearby communities, or should be given to the animals, like animal feeds. I say, okay, this is good, but you can convert this into a business idea where the hotels, the restaurants, can sell this food at a lower price, maybe at a half price, so that they can make money out of that food that otherwise could be just wasted out. And then she says, how is that a business idea? I say, okay, you can come up with an application where all the hotels can drop their foods on that, and then they can sell at a lower price, at a half price, and then you get commission out of every sale. So this is a PhD proposal, but also is a business idea that she can make money out of that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Who else has a mic? Yes. Put on the mic.
Thank you. My name is Dr. David Ngatia from University of Kabianga, Kenya. I am a teacher educator. My comment goes to Engineer Anke. She mentioned ways that we can have the industry being incorporated into the academia, and one of them was policy change. And I'm posing to all of us whether we should think of having the leadership of industries taking part in the leadership of the academia also, especially on this area of commercialization and innovation, because they are experts in that area, so that we can have even a directorate which is headed by somebody from the industry, and so that it can be able to link the issues that are in the industry with the issues that we are handling as academia. And so that we have key performance indicators being put in the contract, that by the end of this time, we should have this number of innovations, we should have commercialized this number, so that we don't just concentrate on the graduating a number of students, but also on having some commercialization taking place and innovations taking place. And also she also mentioned about the issue of a promotion criteria. In fact, this one has been a challenge, and I think, I don't know, all of us here represented, the policymakers are here, I believe, and we need to have a change, because in most universities, we have promotion criteria is based on the number of publications that you've made, but not on innovations or anything that you have come up which can solve solutions. And sometimes that is not the case. An innovation, as she well said, it takes money, it takes time. And if your promotion to be a senior lecturer, to be a professor, will just be pegged on the number of publications that you have made, then you may stay there if you are trying to do innovation, because it may take you time, and your friends may surpass you because they get promoted when you are just struggling with an innovation. So I think that's a thing that I captured, and I don't know how all the policymakers, because I don't believe all of them are here, they need to be informed, and this one will be changed. Thank you so much.
Okay. My name is Andrew Stephen Boima. I'm a student from the Africa Leadership University. I have two questions for Dr. Gattari. First, I am assuming that we have a lot of research that has been done by past students. How do we ensure that we can resurrect some of this research, very innovative research? And if so, who takes the responsibility and who takes the glory? That's one. Secondly, you mentioned about product launch standard. Let's say as a call to action, what do you think should be done, speaking in the context of responsibility and support between the students, the university, and public sector? Thank you.
All right, are we done with the questions? Then we can, all right, go ahead.
Okay, for me it's more of a comment as well, not too much of questions, and maybe it can be also food for thought. I'm Agnes Babugura. I think I introduced myself yesterday, Professor in Environmental Science at Kabale University, and also a Deputy Chief for the Directorate of Research and Grants at the institution. But I also happen to be a member of the Global Research Network on Public Development Banks. So I'm just wondering if we as universities can also look at expanding our partnerships. We've talked about government, we've talked about private sector, but there's also a role that our public development banks can play in supporting innovations. I just completed a study that was looking at the role of public development banks in financing innovations for young businesses. And I think there are opportunities there if we can, the universities can look at partnering with universities in terms of supporting innovations that we are talking about, especially researches that we have conducted that can lead into innovations, and then also support those young people or researchers that are doing that kind of work that brings about that innovation. The other comment I wanted to make was we are all here in the rooms as academics, as private sector, as policymakers, all those who are represented here. But I think in this kind of forums, if we are talking about the young people that we are looking to support, I think we should also have them invited to some of these events and let them give us their experiences so that we can learn from them and also know how to improve on how we conduct ourselves in trying to support them. So I think we need to also include them. That is my comment.
Thank you very much. One last one.
Okay, thank you. My name is Alexandre Nzirorera. I work for Nziza Global Tanzania. We are a main supplier of software technologies for engineering and construction. So before I go to work in Tanzania, where I work as a country director, or have been working in Rwanda for 6 years in the same sector, where I work with companies, but a lower percentage with colleges and higher learning institutions. I believe we are having a good conversations, good discussions here, but decision making is still lagging behind. And taking it from the experience of what I have experienced in Tanzania, I think that colleges in Tanzania are ahead of what I already know maybe from Rwanda, because Tanzania academic system has a way of having private companies like consulting offices, bureaus that work directly inside the colleges, where lecturers and tutorial assistants participate in a private projects in the industry. We also have those kind of bureaus in Rwanda, but I don't know the projects they have ever worked on outside here in the market. Taking it from my background of civil engineering, I was talking with one of my colleagues from University of Dar es Salaam because we're empowering their computer labs with latest technologies. And he told me their consulting bureau makes money, which is a huge amount, more than Kigali infrastructure project. You understand this, how big it is. Kigali infrastructure project, for those who don't know, it's a project of constructing roads across Kigali city. Now, the consulting bureau of this college makes more money than the value of that project. So if other colleges can copy that idea, it will remove a bigger percentage of financial struggles, because I believe our universities still have financial problems, which is hindering their success in a number of innovations. So now my question will be addressed to any academician on the panel. By any time I talked with any vice chancellor or any principal, they all know these problems. They know we have these problems. They know, especially Dr. Inyas talked about having a first class, being a tutorial assistant, pursuing your master's, PhD, coming with a PhD in manufacturing while you haven't manufactured anything in a real market. When I was in a college, I was being trained on structural design. Structural design is, you see why we are standing here, it's a knowledge of a structural engineer. If he wasn't skilled enough, this building would have collapsed. Now, this structural engineer, who was our lecturer, graduated in the University of Rwanda with first class, pursued masters in Germany, came straight to IPRC Kigali to train us on structural design. Now, everything was fully theoretical. He would analyze a column of a building, and we would sleep in a lecture because it's too long, it's too boring, and it's non-practical. That is something that would have never be asked in exam, because exam has 2 hours, and 2 hours you can never finish to calculate a column. So these problems, academician knows these problems are there, and we are most of the time in meetings like this. And what comes next? We meet, we talk. Do you sit after these kind of forums and draft papers to submit to regulators or to policymakers to make sure these things change? That's my question. And another funny story, when I was in a high school.
No. You have asked your question, thank you. We'll have those ones when we're having tea. Stories from high school. Thank you.
Thank you.
Last one. You know, when I was in primary school. All right. Who has the mic?
Thank you so much. I'm called by names Aristide Niyonkuru, a recent graduate from a University of Rwanda in College of Agriculture called KAVEM. So I I have a question for the lecturers. We are talking about how the students or the graduate can be an innovators, not only just being a graduate. But I want to turn the ball around to our lecturers. If you are telling the students also to be an innovator, that's a good initiative. But can you create an environment where the students can learn by seeing, not just by theory, so that you can be first an innovator and you told them to be innovators learning from you? Because you can find a lecturer who is a PhD holder in any field, and you can find in his or her country there isn't even at least 3 people who are living from that PhD he has. It's just an academical one. So can our lecturers be the innovators so that we can learn from them practically? That is one. Second, we are usually saying that we have the problem of funding, things related to that. But can a university do a database of all the people who passed there? And monthly, each graduate can receive an SMS of paying $1. And that $1 as a way of fundraising can be used to fund those innovation ideas from the students who are within the university. For example, if you are sitting here and you see a message from the finance of a university that you have been in, can you deny to pay a $1 monthly to support that university? And that can be a solution to these challenges we are usually mentioning related to funds. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Are we done? Now we can respond. There's the last one over there in the back. And then
Thank you so much.
Musumba, you want to ask a question? You are the one presenting. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you so much, the panelists. I'm very delighted to be part of this conference. I only have a few comments and also a question. One question goes to, I think, the academicians. We are looking at innovation and entrepreneurship conversion into commercialization. And these are science-driven innovations. And I want to bring your attention that in Africa, when you look at innovators, we have 2 types of innovators for me. One is those that have gone to classroom, and there are those that have never gone to classroom. How do we promote those that have never gone to classroom to ensure that the ideas that they have that actually works, if you take them technically, can be converted into commercialization using our model of learning through institutions. 2 is that you realize that businesses in Africa or globally, we have 3 aspects. 1 is the science, 2 is the business, then 3 is the politics. So when you look at the science aspect, actually we have a lot of research findings which are on paper. And these are findings which can actually be converted into commercialization. But because of the mismatch and the linkage challenges between the science, business, and the politics, we tend to miss a lot in terms of conversion rates of this kind of innovations into commercialization to benefit the population. So how do we ensure that the science links with the business and the politics so that we can have a sustainable way of ensuring that these innovations are not only in the classrooms, but they are there outside to make money for the nation and the society where we come from. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I'll have to end it here. There are more comments than there are questions, because maybe Mutimura will tell us why he does not fund health proposals. But then we were told that we can pursue some collaboration with the professional bodies to accelerate the work that universities are doing, so that we can balance between experience and knowledge. I don't know the professional bodies you have in your country, but where I come from, there are fiefdoms that want to control universities. So I don't know how they can accelerate anything when they're looking for power. But that's my comment. Relevant degrees, I think we should not think that education is only to be practical. You can't think if you're just going to produce things. And this world needs people who can think outside the box. Let us not just be so driven with this neoliberal idea that education is a product to be sold and students are consumers who have this and this and that. Some of the best innovations have come from people who have ideas, and those ideas are wrestled with so that you can find out things that you've never planned for. So I don't want us to leave here thinking, oh, we have failed because we are not all innovating. There is room for just thinking. Thinking. It is very hard to think, by the way. So, thinking produces knowledge. One of the things that Africa needs is knowledge produced out of its own continent, so that other people are not giving us examples. So, let me challenge you with that. PhD relevance. Ndugu kutoka Zanzibar. Education, PhD has 3 Ps. Prestige, promotion, and production of goods and services. So you can choose one of those or all of them. Turning research into commercial products, I think we talked about involving young people. I'm glad that we have some students from ALU here and some from Rwanda, University of Rwanda. I think that is a challenge for us as IUCA to see how we can bring more students from the local universities to participate in this. And you've heard how we've been challenged. How do you teach that which you cannot practice yourself? But there are some questions for Anke. Just one, I think. The rest were comments, if I'm not wrong. If Anke, you can just respond to that one question, and Mutimura, you'll tell us why you don't funding healthcare innovations, then we can go for a break.
Yeah, thank you very much. Before I answer the question, I give a small comment. Innovation and policy change can take years. Actually, the idea of establishing an Institute of Indigenous Knowledge at Murray University of Science and Technology started with submitting a 4-page concept note to Professor Kayanja, the VC of the university at that time, by myself. And why? There is a problem. The indigenous knowledge holders and the contemporary knowledge holders do not sit on one table. So that was the problem I identified by working 2 years with 150 traditional healers in Bushenyi in 5 different region of Bushenyi. So I had a practical experience, have seen a problem, and had an idea of a solution. It took me 10 years of lobbying, and in 2017, we won a $6 million ACE2 center, which is called Farm Biotrack. So innovation sometimes takes time and patience. And sometimes, when you have brilliant ideas or being an innovator, you are actually having more enemies than friends. And later, when it works out, you have more friends than enemies. So it's not an easy process, I have seen. They call me Mufumu, or the White Witch in English. And that is up to today the nickname I have, Mufumu, at Murray University. Yes, I am the brain behind Farm Biotrack, but we talked about transdisciplinary. We have a biologist, Dr. Kasim Umbatolo, as a center leader. We have a pharmacologist and a specialist in pharmacognosy, who is Professor Patrick Okwang. This is the Covidex man, you may know if you're from Uganda. He's also promoted to be a professor, but Dr. Kasim Umatolo is 10 years due for promotion, has never gotten it. And don't even ask the innovator. I'm still myself. I have no title. So I don't know, should I build a university and call myself Vice Chancellor or a professor? Maybe. I have an idea for that. I have a concept of a university in my computer already, but not what you think. So now, let me talk about the person from Kenya, industry experts. Yes. Do you have a system of having visiting professors, visiting experts? Why not calling also these people without papers but with good ideas to be your visiting business expert? Don't look at paper, please. Sometimes look at outputs more than papers. Sometimes papers are good for lighting cookery. You say to them, a paper with no impact factor, it has still a use because you can print it out and light a cookery with it. So there's still some use. So you need to also practitioners to co-teach, invite them to class. Farm Biotruck has invited traditional healers, the real Mufumus, to teach in class. I mean, if I had told that a professor 10 years ago, he said, you're blem blem, you're mad. No, these are practitioners, they have knowledge. Hosting. Hosting is very important. Hosting the people and the industry, let them get internship. Let them host internship, but not just internship for TIC. No, internship for marks, for credit units, CU. Do you know why? The student will pay attention. Yet you see, you want to work with industry. What about co-supervision? Do you know that supervision is okay? But please pay them also. The student pays tuition fee to be served, to be taught. Now, if the practitioner teach, pay them also, because they are delivering towards the tuition, the service the student buys from you. Then, how to promote the person, CSR. CSR may not be working, universities may not have CSR, but they may have community outreach programs. So you can call it community outreach. Then, when you have an innovation hub, this is a good talking point for the community. You can invite to the competition for innovation incubation people, staff, students, and public. You can invite any young person who is in public, who has a good idea to compete. Don't close it to you. Open it to the community. Open it to the target audience you have. For us, for example, the target audience is small manufacturing of cosmetic, medicine, and traditional healers. So they are coming. Without papers, they come to our hub and get incubation. So I think that is what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Mtimura, you want to say what?
Thank you very much. I should say that we fund projects and grants based on priority areas. There are 6 national priority areas. Health is inclusive. We have funded several projects. Actually, health sector is the second highest funded. The first is agriculture. So we know there are several people at RBC, Kararisa, Mohammed, and others within other institutions, Rwanda Space Agency, working on different projects. So what you do, visit our website, and then before you apply, come to our offices, contact people who are leading these projects and know more information, because they are highly competitive. Out of 100 that apply, we usually fund like a quarter or less. So please, feel free to contact us and ensure that we support you get through. So moderator, if I could make brief comments, I will be as brief as possible. One of the critical elements that has been alluded to and we have talked about, or Professor Inge has talked about it as well, if we have to ensure that we have research innovations that succeed to be commercialized, we have to ensure that we sacrifice and train a critical mass of innovators and researchers. I'm happy the region is doing it through African Centers of Excellence funded by the World Bank, African Development Bank, and others. We need to nurture that and continue to do that. That's very, very important. Because, as many know, the value of death is always a problem. Very few will succeed. Number two, we need to ensure that we trace those which are succeeding. In other words, maybe there could be 3 categories. 1, highest level of readiness. 2, the middle level of readiness, and 3, maybe lower. And based on that, you are able to know where your resource in terms of supporting the innovators is going to be in order for them to succeed. And finally, it has been talked about, but I want to emphasize the fact that private sector, many institutions globally that are succeeding in translating R&D into innovations and industrial growth are those that have highest private sector that are funding R&D. So contrary to our institutions and our countries, private sector is low level. They're not funding research. And so how do we ensure that we bring them on board by incentivizing them? Maybe tax waivers and others. That's critically important. Otherwise, we shall not jump to the level of middle income or high income if private sector doesn't fund R&D. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I know I have messed up my colleague who's coming up next. They say make the mistake and then you repent later. So I've done the mistake now. I'm sorry. Let's go for a break. Chai, coffee, tea, whatever you call it, and then we'll be back here in how many minutes? In 30 minutes. Idris has said, and once Idris says, it is done. Thank you very much. Please join me in thanking our panelists today. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's time now to take our break.
All right, thank you. My name is Stephen Kakoza, and I'm here for Team KAU with a vision